Welcome to Michael Zane Trusty's Track Talk, where every track has a story. There are voices in country music that don't just sing songs, they haunt you. Keith Whitley's was one of those voices. Smooth as fine bourbon, warm as an Appalachian sunrise, yet carrying a pain you could feel in every note. His career was short, but his influence runs deep. Today, we're going to look at the life, the talent, and the tragedy of a man whose star burned far too bright, far too fast. Keith Whitley was born on July 1st, 1954, in Sandy Hook, Kentucky, a tiny town tucked into the hills of the Appalachian Mountains. Music was in the air there, and Keith took to it naturally. By the time he was a teenager, he wasn't just playing, he was winning. Local talent shows, radio contests. His voice and guitar playing already stood out. But it wasn't long before his life changed forever. At just 15 years old, Keith met a young Ricky Skaggs at a local music contest. The two became fast friends and formed a bluegrass band, playing anywhere they could. Little festivals, school events, small-town dances. They played with such passion that they caught the attention of Ralph Stanley, the bluegrass legend himself. Ralph was so impressed he brought the boys on the road with him as members of his band, the Clinch Mountain Boys. Imagine that, two kids barely old enough to drive, suddenly touring with one of the most respected acts in bluegrass. Life on the road taught Keith plenty, but it also introduced him to something else, the hard-drinking culture of country musicians in that era. He could hold his liquor even as a teenager, and that became part of his identity. At the time, nobody knew it would one day become his downfall. Keith eventually moved into the world of country music, first working as a songwriter and background singer in Nashville. But Nashville noticed that voice, pure, soulful, and drenched in emotion. RCA Records signed him, and in 1984, he released his debut country single, Turn Me to Love. It didn't take off, but his persistence paid off with his 1985 album, L.A. to Miami. Songs like Miami, Miami, 10 Feet Away, and Homecoming 63 started turning heads. By 1988, Keith Whitley was on the verge of superstardom. His album, Don't Close Your Eyes, produced 3 consecutive #1 hits. One hits, the title track, When You Say Nothing at All, and I'm No Stranger to the Rain. Each one showcased his effortless ability to make you believe every word. When You Say Nothing at All, in particular, became a signature song, a ballad so intimate it felt like a whispered secret. But behind the success, Keith was fighting a private war. The alcohol that had been a companion since his teenage years was now a dangerous dependency. He had periods of sobriety and genuine attempts to quit. But the pressure of the music industry, combined with personal struggles, often pulled him back in. In 1986, Keith married country singer Lori Morgan. They were a golden couple in the eyes of fans. Both talented, both beautiful, both seemingly destined for a long career together. Lori has often spoken about how deeply they loved each other, but she also knew the battles Keith was fighting inside. She tried to help him, and for a time, he seemed to be winning. But addiction is relentless. On May 9th, 1989, the country music world was rocked. Keith Whitley was found dead in his Goodlettsville, Tennessee home. The cause? Alcohol poisoning. His blood alcohol level was 0.47, nearly 5 times the legal limit in most states. He was only 34 years old. The tragedy was more than just the loss of a man. It was the loss of what could have been. Keith was at the very peak of his career with plans for new albums and a long road ahead. His voice had the potential to shape the sound of country music for decades to come. Instead, his life became a cautionary tale about the dangers that lurk behind the curtain of fame. After his death, his influence only grew. His final album, I Wonder Do You Think of Me, was released just months later and produced more hits, cementing his place among the greats. Younger artists, from Alan Jackson to Garth Brooks to Chris Young, have all cited Keith Whitley as an inspiration. When You Say Nothing at All even found new life years later when Alison Krauss recorded it, introducing Keith's artistry to a whole new generation. Keith Whitley's story is one of breathtaking talent and heartbreaking loss. He left behind music that still gives us chills, but also a reminder that even the brightest lights can burn out too soon. In the end, his legacy isn't just in the songs he left. It's in the emotion, the honesty, and the pure soul he poured into every note. This has been Michael Zane Trusty's Track Talk, where every track has a story.